All right, guys, welcome back to the show. I'm Titus, your host today, and I'm joined by two awesome guys that I got to meet at the Delta Waterfowl Expo. I've been telling you guys in the prior episodes to this that we had a lot of guests coming on, and these are two of the guys that I had mentioned, and I'm excited to talk to them today. One of them is Matt Carey. He's a content creator, photographer, videographer, does great stuff. You guys can check out his Instagram. He's on here. We're going to meet him. We also have Luke Moore, who is on the Gunner marketing team or the marketing coordinator and also the showroom manager. Luke, Matt, it's good to have you on here today.
Absolutely, man. Great to be here.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, I'm excited about this. There was so much going on at the Delta Waterfowl Expo. Guys were at your guys' booth like crazy. Got to shake hands a little bit, talk a little bit about some stuff and the new products. I guess I'll start with you, Luke, if you want, and then we'll kind of bounce back and forth. We're going to start with some of the stuff with Gunner Kennels, guys. I've been preaching it for a long time, actually, ever since I got Rocky. Actually, the first year, and guys, I'll let you do all talking after this. I want to preface this, that I went and bought a kennel from Petco. Just one of those cheap plastic. Well, they're not cheap. They're kind of expensive, actually. They're cheap as in quality is what I meant to say. And I think it was within 7-8 months, everything was falling apart on it. Don't even know how that's even possible. And I want to say I dropped $250, something like that, $300 on it. So you get about 6 to 8 months, maybe a year max out of it. Then you got to get another one. Then you got to get another one. I mean, now you're sitting at this high price that you spent, and you've went through 3 different kennels with no guarantee, no warranty, no backup of the product. Well, found out about the Gunner Kennels. This is probably 5 years ago now, maybe getting close to 6, and bought that. And I'm looking right now. It's in my truck. It looks exactly the same as it did the day I bought it. No loose bolts, screws, nothing. Everything works on it just the same. So that speaks a lot about your guys' product, Luke. I mean, can you tell me what it takes for you guys to have such the quality and I guess quality control and all that?
Yeah, dude, absolutely. So first off, I appreciate the kind words. It's always cool to hear that, and like everyone internally, it's still up to this point. We just geek out when we hear people talk about the kennels because to us, we're just still a really small company and still continuing to grow like crazy. So it's always fun to hear that, and we stand behind the product just as much as our customers do, and I think that's one big reason behind why our customers back us, kind of like you were just saying there, is we rely on them and we invest in them and we listen to them. So I started at Gunner on the customer experience side of things, and I'm very thankful for that because I got to not only learn the ins and outs of the company, but ins and outs of our customer base, and to be fully customer obsessed. That's one of our big things here, is to put everything towards the customer. So a big thing is listening to them, listening to what they have to say, the good, the bad, everything in between, and take that to improve upon the product. And thankfully, Addison built a kennel where there wasn't much room for improvement. Very, very small things over the years. But man, it's great to stand behind a product that's like that because there's a lot of them out there that aren't, kind of like you just mentioned. But yeah, it all goes back to the customer. And with our product, it's kind of daunting because the kennel, it's literally man's best kennel, world's best kennel. And we know that, but it's really hard because once you get the kennel, and unless you get another dog, you won't need another kennel for that lifetime, unless you get a dog that's a different size.
Yeah.
So standing behind that with a lifetime warranty and backing our customers, man, it's, in my opinion, that's where, it all started, and Addison's one big goal starting out too. And now we're at the point today to where it's like we have the kennel, we have all of the best accessories, we have world's best kennel, and then it goes into right now world's best man's best bumper, and that's what it'll continue to be. All of the dog products you could think of, but top of the class.
Yeah. Matt, what's your thoughts on that new bumper? And we'll roll right into that. I'll get your opinion too, Luke. But Matt, I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. I got to hold it, got to look at it. I'm definitely going to be getting some for sure next year when I get my new pup to help train as Rocky gets older. But what's your thoughts on it, Matt?
Well, a few months ago, Luke called me and was like, "Hey, you want to do some photos of this new product we're doing, and I was like, all right, well, what's the product? And he says, we're making dog bumpers. And then, immediately in my head is wondering, what in the world could you do different?
Right.
And what in the world could you do, better? I assumed they would. And man, like, I was just really surprised at just the innovation that the team over there came up with. I absolutely love it. I got a handful of them early on, and then just started working with them immediately. As far as features, like it's this foam EVA type material, and it's super light, but you can chuck it a considerable distance. I mean, I would say further than most of the other bumpers I have that are significantly heavier. And then my favorite feature after that has got to be the completely hollow inside. Being able to chuck feathers in there and not having to deal with electrical tape or zip ties or something like that. Just to work with scent training is really, really helpful. And then you never have to worry about tape coming off or anything like that. So I absolutely love them. I've been using them now since, it's August now. I've been using them since probably June or something like that. And they've quickly become one of my go-to training tools. If I'm working with bumpers, I'm using those. And, if I'm not working with ducks, I'm using those 9 times out of 10.
Yeah. I mean, I've felt it. Like I said, it is. When you grab it, you're like, man, this is light. Is this going to go far? But like when you kind of grab it by the handle that comes out of it and you kind of swing it, you could tell that it's got that weight where you could chuck it. But I wonder, looking at that material, it feels great. It looks great. I feel like it's hard enough for the dog where they won't tear it up, but soft enough that it's not too hard. Luke, what made them, how long did they work on this? And what was their thoughts behind it?
Yeah, so it's actually really cool. A lot of people think these products, I guess I hate saying this word, but outside of the industry, they think these products just come in a couple months. But and Addison's had this in mind for a long time, like years in mind. And the past few years now is when he's kind of put that into prototyping and testing different materials to where we are now is the proprietary foam, the specific material for the rope, and the overall design and engineering of the bumper itself. And it's like, it is a very lengthy process. And it's been so cool to see it from the very beginning to the very end. And by very end, I mean just the release of it. And, it's a different price bumper, just like all of our products. It's not the cheapest to make, so it's not going to be the cheapest to buy either. And there's reasoning behind that. There's different features, the proprietary foam. There's all kinds of different things that go into it to set it apart. And when it sets apart, it's also going to be a little bit more expensive. And that was one thing I was worried about of is our customer base and all of our new customers, what are they going to think of this before I even had the prototypes in hand? And man, I've been testing them now for probably, I'd say 5, 6, 7 months. And man, as soon as I got them, it just like, there was no question. And, we understand that most guys aren't going to go out and get a full set of bumpers right off the bat.
Right.
Cause it's an investment. But, in my mind, what I do is I'll get the main set of bumpers I'll need. And then each season I'll buy a couple more. And with normal bumpers out there, man, it's like each time you buy more, it's for replacements. But for these bumpers, it's just adding to your lineup. These bumpers are literally built to last if you're using them in the proper context. And, it's not for the dogs that are going to have the bumper for 10, 15 minutes at a time. Like these are for working dogs, training dogs. And I think that's one thing that customers have to grasp. It's like, okay, this is a training tool. This is not a chewing toy or anything like that.
Right.
And when you put it in that conversation of a training tool, it is very, very durable compared to anything else out there. But yeah, it's just been so much fun. And it's to see Addison's visions like come to life and just work. It's like they work every time. And I feel like that's pretty rare. And so it's just fun to be a part of.
Yeah. Well, looking at it too, you know, I think one of you guys already mentioned how you can put the feathers. I think that was you, Matt, that said how you could put the
Yeah.
feathers for that kind of stuff down inside of it. For the scent training, I mean, they got white, they got orange, they got the white and black, which is one of my favorites, which it's sold out already, which is no surprise. I mean, just I don't know, either one of you, it doesn't matter to me. Which can you guys kind of describe the little details and little features of the bumper?
Yeah, dude, absolutely. I would like to point out what makes the product different, and there's a lot of them in this case. So the bumper with the proprietary foam is a big part of it. The rope material, it's not really a rope, but that's what you'd call it. It gives just enough stretch to where if the bumper is a little bit lighter, it's almost like it slingshots out of your hand. And I think that's what Matt was trying to refer to, is like, man, it might feel lighter in your hand, but once it's I'm telling you, it's almost like a slingshot. And once you throw one, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Another cool feature is the almost like knob / handle. You can hold it in 2 separate places, and you can also clip it to like carabiners. And once it's on the carabiners, it's really nice to just clip on the tie-down pins of the kennel. And then I'd say I would have to agree with Matt on this. One of my favorite features is that the cap per se to come off, so you can put the scent training for the feathers. You know, everyone thinks it's like just for hunting dogs, but I've actually been working with some local SWAT teams and police departments and utilizing them in detection training. So for airports, drug detection, bomb detection, anything like that, it gives the dogs and the trainers a very easy capsule to do that in, compared to other things that may just be dirtier or may not make sense to train with. So there's a lot of different avenues you can utilize that scent training for, which would probably make it my favorite feature. And then last but not least, it's vented in the middle, which also acts as almost like a pinpoint for the dog to grab in the middle. So, and there's all kinds of features that, like, one alone may not make a difference, but when all of those are jam packed into one bumper, when you think of an overbuilt bumper and how do you do it, we did it, and it's really cool.
Right. Yeah, and I think looking at that from standpoint of I mean, I've only trained a couple labs so far, but getting ready to start on third next year and seeing how that does concave in the middle for that, which is one of the things young dogs want to do, is they want to have that cigar hold, you know, like they want to hold it off the end. And I like how this kind of pushes them to grab in the middle, you know. And I've had Chris Aiken tell me, like, oh, it's not, I mean, it is, as a person looking, a trainer looking at him holding it like that could get a little frustrating, like, hold it in the middle where you're supposed to. But he said in the field with, you know, ducks and stuff, it's really not going to affect in that way. But it's just nice for training, like you said, that feature. And then I really like the fact that if you have a carabiner, like when I go train Rocky now, or back when he was a pup, I would take a backpack with all my bumpers, you know. And now it's slick because you could just put, you know, 5, 6, 7, 8 on that carabiner, and it's just super clean. It's super easy to deal with and to work with. So you guys hit it on all aspects for sure. I'm definitely liking what you guys got going here for sure.
It's been really cool, man. It's just been, this is our first product that I'll say is on a lower price point compared to everything else. So people that don't have a kennel or don't have a food crate, they can buy into our brand and start to utilize that top tier quality. And they don't have to do that with a higher end kennel, a very expensive kennel. And it's been really cool because we've already seen people that don't have the kennel that they'll buy the bumper. It's like, man, this is crazy quality. Like, I can only imagine the kennel, and it's much easier for them to see that quality once they go to the kennel, that was one of my most excited points to think of. And just to see it come to fruition has been cool. To say the least.
Yeah, I honestly never thought about it like that, but that's a great way, because it is a big step to, you know, pay the money for one of those kennels. But when you know it's lifetime and you know someone else has had it, well, I think one of those things is a really strong word of mouth too, you know, or who hasn't, what they're saying about it. So yeah, but that's such a great factor I never thought of. That's a good segue into getting a kennel, seeing the quality of the bumpers. So Matt, do you have your own dog? It looks like you do. Is that your pup in there?
Yes, I do. Her name's Juno. She's 3, and she's just a fantastic dog.
I'm curious, where'd you get her from?
Dude, it's kind of a crazy story. So my wife would say we jokingly say she's our dog, but in all reality, I always call Juno her dog. You know,
Mm-hmm.
when we started dating, like right after we started dating, she got this dog, and we basically trained her from from then until now. And I remember when she was looking for dogs, we had researched a few different kennels in the area, and she found one particular. We wanted to get an American Lab. She found one American Lab breeder out of Nashville, and they were all out of dogs. And so when she was talking to them, they ended up saying, "Hey, you know, I know you were calling us for our dog and all that sort of thing, but we actually." Um, you know, we're friends with these new people. They're starting a new kennel. One of their dogs they're using is one of our old dogs, and you know, you should check them out. They're a little bit cheaper, and but they're it's a great bloodline. So we called them, and they had two dogs left. One of them they were keeping to breed, and then the other one was Juno. And so it was just probably like an hour south of Nashville before you get down to Alabama. We picked her out. She was definitely the last pick. What we kind of figured is she was the last pick was because she just kind of had a little bit of some shy tendencies. She was a little bit more timid in a few different ways, but in general, just an awesome dog. So that was 3 years. Well, she's just over three now, but yeah, so that's where we got her. Both of her parents were titled dogs,
Oh, nice.
master hunters, all that stuff. So we knew we were going to get somewhat of a solid dog, and both those parents, especially the dad, just was a stud of a really pretty looking dog. So we were stoked.
Did you train her yourself, or because you duck hunt, right?
Yeah, so me and my wife trained her together.
Okay.
So we both this was our first dog. And you know, one of the things we wanted to do from the get-go is just do it together and be something we do together. So, you know, a lot of our dates, even right before we got married, were training dogs and meeting up with people and taking the dog out, all of that sort of thing. And then we used the Cornerstone Gun Dog Academy.
Okay.
So we started with that, and then used a mix of their stuff as well as using some stuff from a guy called Dog Bone Hunter on YouTube. And those two things in conjunction were pretty much like all she's got in her so far. She's definitely not been a finished dog, but we're working towards it.
Excuse me. I'd like to hear your experience using Cornerstone Gun Dog. I used Chris Sagan's on the last two dogs and had good success, and Rocky's a great dog. But might be working with Barton Ramsey at Southern Oak Kennels, and I'm going to use that Cornerstone Gun Dog Academy, and I'm kind of excited to use it, and having more experience takes the intimidation factor away quite a bit, I think. But what was your experience, and how easy and simple it was, and how's that all work? Can you explain to the listeners a little bit how that works?
Yeah, so I have nothing but good things to say about them. I mean, one, like Josh, Barton, and then Josh's dad Keith, they're just great people. And you know, much like you know, everybody I've met at Gunner, they're just really solid people, and they care a lot about the customers. So any question I've had along the way, I mean, you can get on the phone with one of the three of them and get those questions answered. So that alone is just like one of my favorite parts about it. But we did the Complete Gun Dog Academy. So there's two different things you can get. The Complete Gun Dog Academy, which is just the very first set of lessons that they put out, which is pretty extensive. And then you can also do the 52 plus, which is Josh working with one dog from puppy till finished. And that really gives you another look in on just taking a dog from the very beginning to this is like a finished hunting dog. And the way they've got it set up is super, really easy, user friendly. You know, you can go on their website, and then you can also access the lessons via an app on your phone that is called Kajabi.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like a lesson app where all of the lessons are stored.
Mm-hmm.
So that part is nice. I mean, like anywhere I go, or even if I'm out training, if I don't remember something, I can always pull up a video, check it out, rewatch something before I would run a drill.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, the thing that I struggled with along the way with it was, and this is just all I can really speak to, is the Complete Gun Dog Academy, because I haven't used the other product, but there's certain things where, you know, you get going in it and it's just your dog is going to be different than the dog that's on the screen.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
they use a lot of different
Personality.
Dogs at different skill levels, different personalities, all that sort of thing. But to say that, I feel like if you sign up for Cornerstone at the very beginning, they do a lot of teaching on reading dogs, how dogs work, how they learn, how they communicate, all of that sort of thing. And that was the most informative thing for us, I think, as Gloria, my wife, and I dove into, you know, learning this and training dogs, is we got really good at reading our dog. And then also, you know, now my wife, she trains dogs for a living, and she's gotten really good. I mean, way better than me at just reading dogs and understanding what is the dog thinking, what is it doing, what's it understanding, what's it not understanding, all of that sort of thing, which I think is the key to training any dog, is really knowing, like, okay, what's going on here? If they're not doing what you want them to do, you know, how to solve a problem, because that's really all dog training is solving problems, and you know, figuring out what's the dog not getting, how can I get them to figure this issue out, and then how can I build their confidence in that, and then go from there, you know?
Yeah. No, that's so true. That was something I definitely learned on Rocky, the first dog I ever done, because you like, if you get frustrated, like, what am I doing wrong? What am I not doing right that they can understand this? And some of those things was, one of the things I learned was, if it's not going smooth, you're 4 or 5 minutes into the training session, and it's not going smooth or how you think it should, step away, take a break. You know, never get frustrated, never show any frustration at your dog, because it just makes it go on a downhill spiral, you know, like it does not work.
Sure.
And the dog can sense that and feel that, you know, and then it just gets worse. So I think one of the biggest things I learned was, like, okay, it's not going exactly how I thought it would, or it's not going how the video did, right? And like you said, it's funny because you think everything's going to go perfectly like the video does. And then you just got to step away, take a break, maybe come back in an hour or two. And I've seen so many times where when I came back, I'm like, my goodness, why couldn't you done that the first time? But for whatever reason, it just worked out better that next time. Timing wasn't right.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things I was talking to a guy just a few weeks ago about dog training. He's been training dogs for over 20 years. And, you know, one of his biggest things that he said, a young dog trainer, anybody wanting to either get into dog training or get better at it, is just to be ready to pivot. Like, and if you need to end your session, or if something's not going right, don't force something, and just switch something up. You know, like you're saying, you do something and then you walk away and then come back and then the problem's solved. I mean, that can happen. You know, the other day, we were running like a simulated hunt test with Juno, and, you know, we did our water retrieves, and she did perfect, held the bird perfect, delivered the hand perfect. I mean, just everything. Even my wife made a mistake throwing the bird not where we wanted to throw it, and she succeeded. She went, and it stretched her a bit, but she succeeded. Then we did the land retrieves, something weird happened, and I have no idea. Like, I don't know if she, like, a bug got on her or she smelled something weird, but she would not pick the second bird up. And then, so I just like waited and I waited and I lit her, and she like laid down, and I've never seen her do that. And then eventually I commanded her to find it. And then she went right to it. I mean, she was sitting like a few feet away from it, went right to it, picked it up and brought it right back to me. And, it was just an odd thing.
Right.
And, my wife and we got to talking. It's like, hey, what do you think that was? And I just was like, man, I think it was something weird, and I don't think we need to worry about it. And I think we'll just do it again and act like nothing happened. And that's
true.
I think a big thing is like your dog goes off of, they feed off of your confidence level as well. And so if, like what you were saying before, if you're feeling weird or angry or impatient about something, your dog feeds off of that, and they'll look to you for knowing like, hey, is this going to happen? If you just act like nothing's wrong and you believe that they're going to do what they're going to do, then a lot of times they end up succeeding.
Yep.
And they'll just trust you and they'll go for it. And that's a big thing, building that trust, and that they can trust you as the handler.
Yep. 100% agree with that. I seen that with Kelly, Rocky's pup that my friend bought, and we hunt them. The father-daughter hunt together quite a bit, Rocky and Kelly, and we've seen her do that a few times in training too, because it's been a while since I worked with Rocky, and I know stuff like that happen. But like you said, if you don't take it too to heart and go home and lose sleep about it, usually it was just something, just a little nick or a tick or something, because I mean, it's like us. Not every day do we feel like top of the level or feel 100%. Right. We don't, I mean, they can't talk to us, and tell us, hey, maybe I don't feel good, or, my mouth is sore, or who knows, so.
Oh yeah.
That's a really good point.
Know.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up. That's a really good point. So to kind of change angles here, Luke, Matt's going to have a little bit more time to think about this, but Luke, I'll put you on the spot. What was one of your best waterfowl experiences or hunts that you had last year? And it doesn't have to be necessarily a limit or whatever it can be, but what was one of the coolest things that you had happen out duck hunting last season?
Man, last season was pretty eventful. The first half of the season was nonstop, and that second half, man, I just got so busy, both personally and professionally. I just didn't have much of a second half of the season. But last season, I thought it was going to be my older dog Goose's last season. And so he was 12 at that point, if I'm remembering correctly. He was 12 at that point. His body's just it's not keeping up with his drive. So I was like, man, I'm going to go on some easy hunts just for him, and we'll see how we go. But I was telling people, like, man, this is his last season. Well, one of the first hunts, I guess it was one of the first cold fronts that came in. But one of the first hunts within that, it was really icy. We were hunting a flooded rice field in a pit blind, and just it was rough at his age, busting ice and real bad mud at that time. But I was like, man, we'll hunt it, and if I see he's going downhill, then we'll stop. But man, it was so cool because he came out like one of the first retrieves of the morning, just right out the gate, impressed me. He still had it, and I'm talking had it enough to where I was like, man, he's doing better this season than the season before. And it just got me so much more excited for the rest of the season to come, because I was so worried about having to be in that experience of going out, having to pick him up to where he couldn't do it anymore. And, don't get me wrong, he would go out, just as hard as he could, but on the way back, he had to take his time. And his whole life has been go, go, go there and back. Just he's that once in a lifetime dog for me that started it all.
Yeah.
And so to see him in any sort or any level of discomfort based on his body has been hard. So it was just, I don't know, it was really encouraging for me to be able to get a full season out of him, and know that out of one of the first hunts we went on. But it was just, I don't know, I guess it was just special.
Yeah.
Because in my mind, this was going to be it. And then it wasn't it. And now we're going into this season at 13 and kind of in the same boat. I'm like, I keep catching myself because I'm like, this is going to be it. But I said it's going to be it last season. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I'd have to say just the encouragement I got from just seeing him retrieve. I'm to the point to where between my dogs and calling, dude, I love killing ducks, don't get me wrong, but to see them work and working the ducks, like that's, as long as someone else is killing the ducks for them to retrieve, I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt about that. I didn't have, I mean, I've duck hunted now for consistently for 23 years, and not until 6 years ago, I've hunted with some hunting, some labs and whatever. By the way, what is your dog? Is it a lab or a?
Yeah, so I have a 13-year-old black lab, which is Goose, and then I have a 6-month-old pup, another black lab, which is Dex.
Oh, cool. I'll ask you some more questions about them, but that was one of the things, like I said, that it's something you don't really want to think about. It's like a hunt dog's life is really so short in the span of our lives that it's something you try to push away. But like me getting another pup next year, honestly, it's not that I don't want another pup. I just don't want to get another pup because I know why I'm getting another pup, It's just
Exactly.
like, oh man. And see, Barton Ramsey was saying you need to get him between 6 and 7. I was thinking 6 and 7? Can it be like 9 and 10? So, but that's really impressive, honestly, that your dog is still at 12 years old, still hunting. I mean, that's pretty seasoned. I mean, he's been around for a while.
It's a blessing more than I can explain. Most dogs, I've hunted over a lot of labs, and you can really start to see it on them 8, 9, 10 years old. And he was hitting that mark, and he's good as ever. I've kept him in a really good weight most of his life, especially in his older age, and just kept him where a lot of guys I've talked to will kind of put some weight on in the off season and then drop it for during duck season. And I kept him at a fighting weight all year long, especially in his older ages. And I really put a lot into doing that, and just keeping that weight off of him, keeping fighting weight. And, I really do think it's done wonders, but he's got it. He's got it in him, man. He's one of those dogs that, everyone says, oh, my dog's this, my dog's that. And I guess I'm right there with him because he's got it. I mean, at 13 years old, he's running out just as hard as he ever has. But like I said, you can just see it on him after, or the retrieve coming back. So we're going to hit it hard, man. It's his last season at 13. We'll say last season per se is going to be another special one. I'm hoping Dex is going to be to the point to where he can at least get a hunt or two in, where he can kind of honor Goose, and learn a little bit from him. And hopefully, a little spoiler here. I've been talking with Matt. We're hoping to capture a last hunt, last retrieve, passing the torch within the same hunt to Dex's first hunt, first retrieve.
That would be awesome.
And trying to capture it. And dude, I never thought it would have lined up that way because at Goose's age and then getting a pup when he's so old. But if it works out, it's going to be incredible to capture.
Oh man, yeah,
it's going to work out, Luke. It's going to work out.
That will be amazing. I love to see that. Well, I mean, if you guys are going to do that, where would you guys put that? Would you put that up on Instagram, or would that be on YouTube, or what do you guys got planned? Or I don't want to break up your secret plans if you trying to keep that on the down low.
Dude, I don't know yet. I guess it depends on how much or to what capacity we capture the whole process, the whole hunt. Regardless of gunner, I'm going to do it. But, I've been talking with the team and it seems like they want to do it more than I do, which is saying a lot. So I don't know yet. We'll see. And however it plays out, it'll play out. But just to capture those 2 retrieves back to back, man, it's going to be something special.
That's awesome, man. That's super cool. It's sad. It's like you said, it's a bittersweet type of thing. And so, yeah, passing the torch, it's got to happen. It's sad, but again, it's something I guess you could smile and look back and show how good of a dog. Like I said, that's impressive. 13 years old. See, you kind of preaching at me there a little bit because honestly, I've always let Rocky get a little. He's probably 5-6 pounds every year. He gets about 5 or 6 pounds more in the off season, and then it gets dropped by hunting and preseason prep. And he's always stayed around the same weight. He's like the same weight in hunting season, and then he's the same weight in the off season as far as that fluctuation there. But he kind of preaching to me a little bit, making me rethink, like maybe I shouldn't have let that happen like that.
Man, it's hard, but worth it. I'll say my mom and dad, like whenever he's over there, they're like, man, you need to feed him more. I'm like, Mom, Dad, like I promise I don't. And I always like to keep, even Dex is a puppy, he's growing like crazy. Like I'm feeding him a lot, but I won't let him get past to where, I like to see the very back end of their ribs and concave end of their stomach. And that's always how I tell with Goose and now with Dex, at a good weight. We don't want them skin and bones, but we want them fit. We don't want them lagging a whole bunch of weight around if they don't have to.
Yep.
That's how I'll continue doing it. And again, it's hard because like you want to spoil them and do stuff here and there. And it sounds stupid, but even with treats, like I can't remember the last time I gave Goose a normal dog treat. And I don't think I ever have with Dex. I'll just get like, it sounds so stupid, I know, but vegetables, I'll freeze them. And like throughout the week, I'll just give them frozen vegetables as treats. And it's way cheaper than normal and a lot healthier. It won't put weight on them. But it's the same thing as us. Like we snack all day throughout the week, like we're going to gain weight. It's the same thing for the dog.
Yeah.
I nerd out over that. I love that portion and the supplements and stuff for the dogs.
Well, it matters because like, the dog food too. I was going to ask you, see, I've used Eukanuba 3020 for years. Before that, I think it was Pro Plan, but there were some things I noticed from that, and I'm not trying to bash anybody in this episode, but like Eukanuba 3020 is been one of the greatest things, and I think because the glucosamine and the chondroitin in it, it's so good for their joints, and that's a thing that goes bad in labs quite a bit often, especially at Rocky's age and older, even that young. I've heard of things, people saying, oh, they're limping or they're hobbling. And if you want to talk about geeking out or nerding out over things, you probably really think I'm crazy because I've literally done this since he was a puppy. And don't think me weird for doing this, but I've literally always like kind of assisted him jumping out of the truck. When I dropped the tailgate and open my gunner kennel, he doesn't just bust out there and take off running like I see a lot of people's dogs doing. I'm not saying that that's wrong, but that hop from the truck down on those front shoulders is half the reason I believe, and I've talked to other people about it, why they get all that arthritis in their shoulders as they get older because of that pressure. I mean, think about it, jumping off, all that weight's going on those two front legs and shoulders. I don't pick him up and put him on the ground, but like as he goes to go off, I got my arm around his back underneath his rib cage, and then kind of like a system where he's just not hitting that so hard. So, I mean, I don't think you're weird for doing the things you do.
I do the exact same thing with Goose.
Same.
Do you? No, that's good. I'm not the only guy.
Dude, I'm telling you, I think it's one of those things like, why not?
Longevity, right?
Make a difference.
If you can do it.
With Goose, he did younger, up to like 5 or 6. And dude, like, if I could take those times back, I would. And with Dex, at a young puppy, it's probably not going to bother him right now, but in the longevity of things, it will. And I'm the same exact way. I'm like, why not just pick them up and just help them down to save some joints? I mean, man, they work so hard. It's crazy. So those little things, I think, add up in the long run.
What kind of dog food do you guys like, both of you? What do you guys feed your dogs?
I think we're both using the same thing, if I'm not mistaken from our conversations. I'm using the and I'm sorry you just said this, but I'm using the 3020 Pro Plan Sport.
Okay, they have the 3020?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm curious of what one though, because they have a couple. I never fed them. I never fed them the 3020 with Pro Plan.
Okay.
I fed them just the regular.
The reason we picked that one as opposed to some other things is actual chicken, not like chicken meal. Actual chicken was the first ingredient in the ingredient list. And then, my wife, we've tried actually a bunch of different things. She's gotten some natural dog foods and all that sort of thing. And we've landed at the Pro Plan Sport for the longest time. Gloria really wants to do a raw diet and like do everything on our own. It's
a lot of work
and it takes a lot of time. Yeah. So I don't know, maybe if I can shoot like an extra deer or something a year for Juno, maybe we'll be able to make that happen.
You know what? Let me cut you off there because I need to rephrase what I said. I was sitting there thinking about after I said it to you, and then you said what you said. It wasn't that I was feeding them, because I did used to. The only reason I switched from Pro Plan, Purina Pro Plan to Eukanuba 3020 is because Eukanuba 3020, I don't know if Pro Plan has this, but they have the glucosamine and the chondroitin for the joints. What I was feeding them before that, why I switched from that to like Pro Plan is like if and it's kind of gross, but I know you guys already know this. I'm just letting the listeners know. Like, you feed them that cheap dog food. I'm not saying you're a bad person for doing that, because I get it. Trust me, dog food's expensive. Like, Eukanuba's like $90 for a 30-pound bag that only lasts like a month. But those cheaper dog foods, and you said it already, Matt, the first ingredient, if you go and look at it, a lot of it's meal type, like cornmeal or different types. Again, not to be gross, but that dog is going to go the bathroom about 3 times to 4 times as much every day, which nobody likes cleaning dog poop up. But not only, the bigger part of that is they're not absorbing the nutrients that they need. So that's why I switched from those cheaper dog foods. And I get it, it's expensive, but you got 2 reasons right there why to go to like either Pro Plan or Eukanuba or something else. I mean, I've seen some advertisements of some stuff that's mixed with like a lot of natural stuff too. I don't know if you guys have seen that, or what's your thoughts on those other dog foods? I know they're really expensive though.
Yeah, I've gone back and forth. Like, I'm not like all the way for, all the way against any dog food brand I've been through yet. Right now, and what he's been on most has been the Purina Pro Plan Sport, the 30/20, but the salmon blend. That's my big thing. I've always kept Goose on, the older lab, and now Dex is just a fish-based diet. I always like the omega-3 in it. Goose has always been great on it. His coat's been one of the best I've ever seen, especially in older ages. And the same thing goes for Dex, but that's the main thing I look for on top of the quality ingredients is the fish base. So like, I know Nutchuck has a great marine line. Pro Plan has the salmon line. I don't think Eukanuba has one. But again, I've heard amazing things on Eukanuba's performance blends as well. So I don't have anything bad to say about any of them, but I do like the very high protein, performance blends. And if I can get the marine fish, base, that would be my preference.
Yeah, I tried something the last 2 years, and it seemed to work pretty good because Rocky's not as active. I mean, he does a lot of running around the house, and we have a pool that he swims in literally all day. Like, if I'm at work and I fly over the house, going back to the airport, I'll see him back there. I mean, he swims in the pool more than the girls do. So I think it's kind of great for him in the summer, to get that exercise. But I've wondered, I've swapped them down to, they have some different blends. Like, I think it's, I want to say it's 23. I think it's 2318. So it drops the protein down a little bit. And because what is it? It's protein and fats, right? So I definitely noticed that he stays a little bit leaner in the off season when he normally puts weight on with changing that. So I kind of bounce from that in the summer and then go back to the 30/20 when he's hustling a lot and hunting all the time. So
yeah,
that's just something I've done. But Matt, I asked Luke, but I didn't let you. I gave you a lot of time to think about it. Now, what was one of your most memorable or favorite hunts of last year?
Dude, I'm so torn between 2 different stories.
Hey, tell them both. That's okay.
Okay. I was probably going to anyway. But and I think like the first story that was like my main highlight, I would say, was, I do a good bit of hunting just around the Nashville area, but by no means do we shoot limits around Nashville. Like, it's like not the main part of the flyway. If we want to shoot a bunch of ducks, we head west. We head out towards like Mississippi River, Tennessee River, or to Arkansas and West Tennessee. All those areas are just significantly better. But anyway, at the second opener, like right after our split here, after Thanksgiving, first weekend of December, I went out to go hunt, and like none of my buddies could go. And it was just me and Juno. And I went out to one of these lakes near us, and I found a spot where I just I could tuck myself and Juno's dog stand up in this little tree. And, we set up like a crazy spread, like maybe 12 decoys and like a little butt splasher.
Mm-hmm.
And me and Juno shot us a limit in that little spot.
That's
And
awesome.
she even got to, chase some cripples, and the duck was diving on her, and I just let her hunt. It was like, I know, when you're with other people and your dog's like screwing around or something, or chasing a duck,
Mm-hmm.
everybody's like, all right, hurry, or just leave him out there. And so I just, I did whatever I wanted to do, let my
Mm-hmm.
dog go as long as she was going to go. And she retrieved all those birds. It was such a fun hunt, and, just so rewarding to, everybody loves to shoot a limit, but
Mm-hmm.
just me being able to do that with my dog, just, 20 minutes away from my house.
Mm-hmm.
It was just such a fun day.
Right.
And then my second story is, it was probably like right after Christmas. We had like a big freeze here right around Christmas,
Mm-hmm.
where it got down to like 0. And we had some good hunts around then, and all of that. But we went out and hunted on the river one of those days, and like a lot of things were froze up. So we decided to go to the river, and it was me and my buddy Ben and my brother-in-law. And then I brought this guy. It was literally his first duck hunt, this guy from church.
Mm-hmm.
And he just like, he knew nothing, had no idea. And it was just like a fun experience. And I had no idea what to expect. We're on our way out to where we were going to hunt. We kicked up like hundreds of ducks roosting on the river, which hunting in that area I had never seen.
Mm-hmm.
And so we set up, and man, like right at shooting light, just when you could first start seeing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We had a pack of, I mean, dude, I would not be exaggerating. And this is in the Nashville area, like at least a group of like 100 mallards mixed with black ducks, just all dumped in, all right in front of us, all at the same time, just in one huge group.
Wow.
And you just hearing the wind flying, coming through their wings in between the trees through there, we were just in awe, and we just watched them. And then finally, like at the back end of that pack, about 30 birds finished right over our decoys, and we shot into them, and we're just awestruck, And once it got, we the rest of the morning was not super eventful, but just getting to see that big of a group of birds come through in an area where we never see that concentration of birds was just so fun. And I can still just visually see them coming through. It was such an exciting moment. And then, after that, again, it wasn't super eventful, but these guys, like my brother-in-law had never seen anything like that. He was astonished. This other guy thought that, like, it's his first duck hunt. He sees that. He's like, man, this is really great. He had no idea that wasn't the norm.
Wow. That's amazing.
It was such a fun experience, and getting to share it with those guys was fun as well.
Man, you're giving me the fever. The problem with doing these podcasts is it just gets me all wound up for duck season.
Yeah.
Then I'm like, we still got another. Well, do you guys teal hunt?
Oh yeah.
Oh, you lucky dogs. See, I've traveled for it. We don't have no teal season in California.
I haven't really gotten into it. I'm real big. Like I've spec hunted quite a bit, and then, man, I dove hunt like crazy. But
yeah,
I'm hoping Matt and I can connect this season. We're trying to plan a few hunts, both traveling and local, around some teal. And I'm hoping we can make both work.
That would be cool. It's fun. I've done it 2 or 3 different years. Went to Nebraska and did it, and it's fun. It's just fun, especially because the way the blue wings are during that time. They're bunched up pretty good, and they're loud when they buzz right over your head, and they just decoy good. It's a good way to start the season. But you're right, like dove season, September 1st out here in California, and it's gonna be. I got invited some friends from church that have an awesome place for it. They've got almond orchards and fields and all kinds of stuff. It's gonna be pretty. I think it's gonna be pretty amazing. So that's coming up too, for sure.
I can't wait.
So you're in Tennessee, Matt?
Yeah.
When does your guys' teal season start?
The teal season, I believe, is the 9th of September. It's that second Saturday, and it lasts just over a week, like the 9th through the 17th, I believe.
Okay.
And the cool thing here is we're allowed to shoot wood ducks for the first half of that week too. So,
Oh, wow.
Sometimes, like, if the teal are here yet, I mean, you can have like an awesome hunt, but sometimes they don't come through till the end of that week. Like, I've had times where, we hunt Monday, Tuesday, don't see teal. Wednesday, they're there, or Thursday, they're there, and then Friday, they're gone. They come through pretty quick. But the nice thing is, if they're not here yet, we can shoot a few wood ducks, early on. So that's nice.
Man, that's cool. So you said the first week of season you can shoot wood ducks too with the teal?
It's like the first 4 days.
Huh.
So like the opener, that Sunday, Monday and Tuesday, and then maybe the Wednesday. I can't remember.
I did not know that.
You can shoot woodies. But I mean, like, we do have a good bit of wood ducks here, so you're not going to confuse a wood duck and a teal,
No.
but you could confuse wood ducks and mallards. But we don't see them, like, we don't see many other ducks besides wood ducks during that time of year. So,
right, huh? That's interesting. That's a new one. I haven't heard that, but that's pretty cool that there's that opportunity to do that. What about you, Luke? What state are you in?
I'm in Tennessee,
Okay.
just south of Nashville.
Okay.
So me and Matt are Matt, like 30 minutes apart?
Something like that.
Okay. Yeah. Now, do you how many times do you think you hunt a season? Are you out there pretty hot and heavy, or do you just, like you said, get a little bit busy with work during that time?
And it's back and forth. So the past season or two has been, I'll hunt on work trips and personal. So I kind of have to go back and forth there. I'll be traveling quite a bit for work. And then for personal, I usually stay around the Boot Hill, Missouri, in southeast Missouri. That's where all my family's from. So it's a good mix, though. I've really enjoyed getting out and traveling because I grew up just hunting in the Boot Hill and nothing really outside of that. And then going on the work side, traveling anywhere from Louisiana, Texas, and then hopefully this season and next, getting up north to the Northeast, some sea ducks, and then trying to plan a trip to Canada for next year. So just some like really fun travel stuff, and then personally just kind of the roots.
Yep. Yeah, same here. I definitely push anybody, if they do get the chance and they can't afford it, to get out and venture outside of your own area, because there's a lot to see, and it's a lot of things are done a lot differently, and I think it just makes you a better waterfowler overall to see different things and try different things. So for sure. What's your guys' season looking like this year? We'll probably wrap this up. We're almost hitting an hour, but I kind of like to see what you guys got planned for this season.
Man, I am excited. Obviously we've got early goose stuff coming up here in September, which is always fun, but it's kind of like 2 or 3 decent hunts, shooting resident birds. But I'm excited to kick off like waterfowl season for me up in Canada. I'm going for the first time.
Oh, nice.
With the call company I work for, Slayer Calls. We're going to get some, mainly targeting geese, getting some good goose content up there. And we'll be hunting up there for like 4 days in Alberta. So I'm stoked for that. Probably go out to Arkansas a good bit. One of my goals this year is to get better at the public land grind out in Arkansas. It's something I've done like a handful of times. But it's just so crazy, and it just takes time to learn. So Luke and I have talked about planning a couple trips out there, and maybe not getting a few boat races, but explore a little bit out that way.
Yeah. What about you, Luke?
And I'm still in the planning of quite a few hunts. I'm trying to base this season and capture a lot of content and media just with new companies I've connected with. to benefit both sides. And like, that's one of my favorite parts of the job is just creating that relationship. And, you know, in the past we've had those relationships, but I want to put a face with all of them. And those hunts are where it's an easy way to capture it. So I'm trying to plan with a few companies, probably going to go back over to Two Bayous with John Stevens. My wife and I are hunted with him and Angie last year, and it was just an awesome time. So we'll probably get back over there. Probably going to go back down to Venice, Louisiana again this year. Just a whole lot of travel, like I said before. And then hopefully have some time to go on some personal hunts. Like Matt said, we're planning to do a few trips here, hopefully Arkansas, and then back in the roots of the Boot Hill. But dude, I'm most excited about that hunt with Goose and Dex if we can make that happen.
Yeah.
And I'm to the point where I couldn't care less where it is. I'm not looking for a limit. I'm just looking for, if we have 2 ducks,
right,
a retrieve for both of them, I'm good. But that's the one I'm most excited about. But outside of that, travel, personal, all the above.
That's awesome. Well, guys, so Luke, what's your social media? Where can they find you at? Want to look you up?
Yeah, on Instagram, Luke.Moore, and obviously check out Gunner Kennels as well.
And Matt, yours?
Yeah, mine is Of the Field.
Okay, Of the Field, and you have a website too, don't you?
Yeah, my website is the MC. My name's Matt Carey, themcmshowpodcast.com.
mcimage.com, themcimage.com. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate you guys coming on, taking time out of your day to come on the episode and talk to us all.
Yeah,
man. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, it was great meeting you guys, and we'll be staying in touch, I know. So, guys, we hope you enjoyed this episode, and glad to bring this out and kind of show you guys some of the people that I got to meet and starting these relationships with. There's nothing better than in the hunting industry in general, just meeting people, new faces, shaking hands and becoming friends and growing that just whole dynamic of relationships with people that love the same stuff we do. So hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you on the next one.